Oh, hey, A Million Tips. How's it going, my friend? Enjoy your dinner. Ninja's not going to be on tonight. I've got Ian popping in. Until then, though, I'm going to play my... Oh, no. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. I had it on loop. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. I was making sure. Can everyone in the audience, or anyone in the audience, tell me if you can hear me? I would appreciate it. We need this here. Seems like StreamYard's about 10 seconds ahead of YouTube. Well, tonight the special guest is Ian Everand from Art, Silver, and Gold and Osmium. Obviously, he's the owner, as it states there underneath his name. This is going to be Osmium 101, basically an introduction to what is osmium, what is vaporized crystallized osmium, and what everything is about that we've got started here. And Ian, I will turn the stage over to you, sir.
Hi there, Neil. Thank you for arranging this. Okay, so I'm a bit breathless. I've just been getting some roofing work done on the workshop. So anyway, got that done. Okay, so we will start. Let's show a piece of osmium to start with. Nothing like seeing. There's a rectangular bar. That will give the viewer some idea of the reflectivity and the colors. Now, this is pure metal. We can look at it on edge and the back. That is 99.9995 minimum pure, so 595. In fact, they make it so pure, a lot of laboratories use the crystallized osmium as a reference for setting test equipment. So osmium, the eighth and final precious metal, it was isolated in late 1803, early 1804 by two British scientists. I think one of them was called Mr. Tennant. They were experimenting with residues after refining platinum, and they found some material that they couldn't dissolve. And further research on it, they realized they'd actually found another element, not only another element, but the missing eighth and final precious metal. It's not had much, not been known about, talked about, used through since 1803, 1804 because of its absolute scarcity. So early on, the Osram light bulb company actually formed its name from osmium and wolfram, which is tungsten, did experiment using it as light bulb filaments because of its very high melting point. So it made a very good filament, but it was, even then they realized this is just too rare. It's not going to be practical. So it's had niche uses like fine ink pen tips, alloying with certain metals to make incredibly hardware bearings on a very small scale. It's used in chemical research because it oxidizes in its ordinary metallic form readily, forms osmium tetraoxide and other oxide compounds of osmium, which are actually toxic. So it's in its uncrystalline form, it's the only precious metal which is toxic. So about 51 years ago, a Swiss scientist called Rolf set on a journey to work out a technique to turn it from the raw metallic form into a crystalline form. And it did take him over 40 years to get the process right. And then when he'd actually developed a product looking much like this rectangular bar in finish, he started talking to precious metals dealers and see who he would be interested in bringing it to market. He met Ingo Wolf at a precious metals convention. I think Ingo was dealing in precious metals, gold, silver, platinum at the time. And Ingo, I think the story goes, said he would, this is my liquid hot chocolate food here. Ingo said he would give him a 20-minute meeting, and that 20-minute meeting turned into a 6-hour meeting, and Ingo realized that this Swiss scientist had taken the rarest non-radioactive element and turned it into something beautiful and desirable. And if Ingo could work out a way of bringing this to market, you would bring incredible value to the osmium in its crystalline form. So that was about 11, 12 years ago. So it's been a long journey for the Osmium Institute to build out the process. So the osmium gets made in 4.5-inch discs in Switzerland. It then gets shipped to Murnau in Germany, and then they cut it into various pieces, whether it is squares, or discs, or all sorts of shapes, heart shapes, rectangles.
Or like watch face shapes.
Yeah, they do discs, especially for watches.
I saw that sparkling around your wrist there.
That's a Swiss watch. There's about 4 or 5 Swiss watch companies making watches now. And so, yeah, it was September 2022. I was selling precious metals at the New Orleans Investment Conference, and I was a few booths along on the same side of the auditorium convention room. There are about 50 or 60 different stalls there. And a friend of mine, I think it was Craig, actually. So if Craig gets to listen to this, thank you, Craig. I think he said, you need to go look at this osmium stuff. And they sort of described it as shiny and incredibly expensive. And I wasn't really interested. But eventually they persuaded me they could look after the booth. And I went to have a look. And within minutes, I wasn't going to leave without buying some, even though they didn't have any to sell. And I did purchase a ring off the vice president's finger and the pendant off her neck, because I thought at that time this may be the last chance I actually see osmium or even get a chance to buy some. It's so incredibly rare. And at that time, the maximum potential production maybe over 10 or 50 or even 100 years would have been about a cubic meter, which is just under 23 tons. And that, I thought, was just so rare when you compare that to how many thousands of tons of gold there are and tens of thousands of tons of silver have been mined in human history. I think we mine 25,000 tons of silver a year. So you start thinking, yes, 25,000 times rarer than the annual production of silver. And that convinced me enough that I wanted to buy this. And it also convinced the Osmium Institute that I was seriously interested. So we carried on talking. Ingo and Scarlett, the vice director, came and visited me early last year. And after an 8-hour meeting, they appointed us the first US retailer. So that's a little bit of background of how we got into osmium and how osmium was turned into this beautiful crystalline form. Its features are fascinating. I did mention earlier, it's the rarest non-radioactive element. I think it's many thousands of times rarer than gold. I think 4,000. I haven't got the exact fact. And that's in the possible mined raw metallic form. So fast forward to earlier this year. So Rolf, the Swiss scientist, he's been working at this for over 50 years now. He's decided he's retiring, practically retiring at the end of 2026. The Osmium Institute, headed by Ingo Wolf and Scarlett Klaus, they've been searching the world for over 10 years for all of the ethically produced osmium. Because when you make a product as exclusive and as beautiful as this, you're going to be selling a lot of it to incredibly rich families who will sue you if it's found to have been unethically sourced, because that will just devalue the whole notion of a luxury good. Has to be proven beyond doubt where it came from and how it was mined. Interesting fact, in the Earth's crust. That makes sense. Now, where was I? Talking about So over 10 years, the Osmium Institute have collected 350 kilos of osmium, raw osmium metal, with absolute provenance of where it was mined and how it was mined. There is a problem that you can and you do find osmium with nickel, but nickel mining is an incredibly polluting process. So that pretty well rules out making a luxury good from osmium that comes from that process. So they have 350 kilos. They have crystallized around 50 to 55 kilos to date, sold 20 to 30 kilos. By the end of 2026, the total production will be around the 350 kilos. Now, that might sound a fair amount, but considering its density, it's not a lot. If you compacted that in with no air gaps, allowing for the crystal surface, it would be approximately a 10-inch cube. Or I think the volume that might make more resonance with people, especially Americans, would be the largest basketball. 2.5 of those would be about the equivalent in volume to the total amount of osmium produced. So you can see that, just what I've got on my table here, this disc and bars and 3/4-inch disc, watch face, one person can soon have a meaningful percentage of the total production. So that's a fascinating proposition. And in applications, it just is absolutely outstanding. It's been winning a lot of competitions around the world. It's encouraging new designs. You can work with it. You can cut it to exquisite shapes. That's a triangle. We showed the heart earlier. Now, if you tried to do that with diamonds, that heart shape, you'd have to set maybe 100 or more tiny little diamonds. It would be a lot of work and it wouldn't have the sparkle. So for the jewelry applications, it can not only replace diamond pave, but it's superlative to it in the reflectivity and the durability. This is tough stuff. These are not going to break off. In fact, it's actually more abrasive than diamond. That's another interesting physical property. So it's the most scarce non-radioactive element. It's the densest. It's the most abrasive. And I don't think there's anything that quite matches its reflectivity. I think the actual crystalline surface is more reflective, so that would mean that's over 95% reflective. Its reflectivity in sunlight is stunning because of the way the crystalline structure. It's lots of hexagons, and you've got layers of mirrors stacked up in a hexagonal patterns going up and up and up to a point. So each one of those mirror shelves will reflect parallel light straight back at the observer. Hence why it is incredibly beautiful in sunlight, because that's the ultimate parallel light source. Also LED light. So I haven't even tried this one. I just did get this. Whoa. I don't know what that will do on it. This one might be a bit bright. Probably too much for my camera.
Oh, yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
So the Osmium Institute do supply these 5,000. Again, that's probably...
Yeah, keep it about 3 inches away and keep it at an angle that does pretty good. There you go. You're starting to see the blue and the purple to it.
So really, though, until you've seen it in sunlight, it's really hard to appreciate how incredibly beautiful it is. So those are some of the features. I mean, another feature is every square millimeter. A square millimeter is not a lot bigger than a standard pen point. Under an ordinary high-resolution photograph has 10,000 more recognition points than a fingerprint. And that never repeats across the piece of osmium. So it has an inbuilt physical code. So as well as being the densest element, so you can't forge it by substitution, each piece is absolutely unique. What else do I need to cover? But it's...
Have you covered the... go ahead.
No, there's one more key fascinating point, actually, for any chemists or physicists or geologists. There is no acid or alkali that will dissolve it or mix of. So everything else that I'm aware of on the planet can be dissolved in some form of acid or alkali or a mix of acid and alkali. And I think that is how the British scientists discovered it.
Yeah.
They were dissolving away the residues using different concentrations of acid and alkali mixes, and then they found osmium, which they could not dissolve. So that is a fascinating. It's the only element that cannot be dissolved.
That is actually very fascinating.
Yeah, its melting point is really high, so it's way up there at 3,000 centigrade. Excuse me for not knowing that in Fahrenheit. I know the boiling point in Fahrenheit. The boiling point is over 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's part of the process. Once the raw osmium has been purified to incredibly high level, Rolf and his team, they then boil it. Now, how they do that, I do not know, because it has to be kept obviously completely free from oxygen. Any oxygen in that process, and it will oxidize and ruin the whole process.
It sounds like it's a very complicated process to get to the crystallized form.
Oh, Space Miner's got a great point there. It has the highest compression modulus, so it would make the ultimate submarine. It would make also the ultimate radiation shield. Just we will never have enough of it to make the ultimate submarine or even radiation shields. I mean, maybe if all of the crystalline osmium, you could make an incredible radiation suit out of that, but you'd have to buy it all. Oh, thank you, JM. So 3,000 Celsius here, 5,430 degrees Fahrenheit. So that melting point is over 5,000 Fahrenheit. It would have many, many industrial uses. It's a superconductor. Its oxidization in its metallic form is actually quite interesting, and it is used in some high-end chemical research. But again, not a significant degree because of the finite of just the raw osmium is a very, very finite element.
So the only thing basically keeping it from being used in other applications is its rarity.
Because it's so, and that was the reason there wasn't much attention paid to it, and there wasn't really much demand for it. I mean, you can buy sintered cubes and sintered beads of it, but it's unlikely that it will be pure, and it will have pores, nano holes in it, fissures that will, if left in the presence of oxygen, will oxidize and form toxic compounds.
So let's see, what else is there to talk about? You are the flagship dealer in America, and there are a couple other dealers that have opened up. my understanding?
Yes. Yeah, we're the first US retailer. And in fact, we had the flagship retail store before the Osmium Institute had finished building theirs.
Yeah, which you had a hand in helping with.
Theirs is much bigger. It's an actually, if anybody is ever in that area, in the Bavarian area of Germany, it's well worth a visit to go see their whole facility. You can see where they do the cutting and the examining of each piece.
Mary had an interesting question. Excuse me, Mariah.
Well, I like Space Miner has got all of his technical stuff. So only beryllium and osmium are neutron reflectives. Woo. So yeah, it would make an incredible neutron shield then.
Maria was asking where would you buy and sell it. So I was just highlighting some things.
So we import every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes every week. We will have a consignment. So what we do, we consign small orders and then we import from Germany, and we can do that duty free without any import tax.
That's one thing you haven't explained yet. The viability of purchasing from you over the actual Osmium Institute is that VAT tax that they have to pay by their location in the country they're in.
Yes, and you'd have to pay for the international shipping and insurance and do a foreign transaction wire for a payment. And so what we've been doing, we've been absorbing the shipping costs from Europe to us and the shipping costs from us shipping out. So you save the shipping costs as well. Plus, build a relationship with your precious metal dealer. They're more likely to buy back from you if you choose to or need to sell. So if somebody who has bought osmium from us needs to sell it, we will bend over backwards to place it and get them as close to retail or even retail for it.
Isn't there a website being created to link people up with the purchasing, the selling, and the hooking up?
Yes, so there is a system where people who bought a piece can go back to their dealer, and then that piece can then get advertised throughout the whole osmium ecosystem. So, which is in over 42 countries, over 1,500 representatives, full-time or part-time, now are working for the Osmium Institute. So it is building out, and as time goes forwards now, as we're approaching the 2026 completion of production, there may well be, there may actually be a squeeze on the supply of certain sizes and pieces. So I foresee the market becoming more and more liquid and easier to sell into the market. Plus, it's incredibly very easy to verify. So most pieces come in this foil box with the QR code and the alphanumerical code along there. And if you put that number in or scan the QR code, it will take you to a high resolution photograph of the piece, and you can actually identify your piece from the picture on the database. So it's very, very secure. It's very easy for us to verify that this is genuine. Not that I've seen any. I can't conceive how anybody can make something as reflective. So when you see the real thing in sunlight, I cannot see how anything could be close to it in a forgery.
I don't think it could be forged.
No, it makes it incredibly secure on a multi-level, one from the database at the Osmium Institute. So when you buy a piece, you will have a ownership code assigned to an email and a phone number of your choice. So you could, if you wanted absolute privacy, just have an email just for that purpose. And theoretically, you could have a phone number just for that purpose if you really wanted to get as much separation and privacy. And then once you have that code, the only person who can transfer that code is the holder of that code. Now, if you did lose that code, all you would need to do is to enter the alphanumerical number, that number there, into the identifyosmium.com site and request for the ownership code to be resent to the owner, and it will be resent to the email that the ownership code was last assigned to. So it makes it very, very easy to prove ownership, to transfer ownership, and you can even have another code so you can have a different possessor. So you can remain the owner and you can assign possession to someone else.
Sounds like it's one of the most, in my opinion, cryptocurrency-like precious metal format there is out there.
This was one of the things that just fascinated and appealed to me. This is everything that crypto is in its uniqueness, but it's physical.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the eighth and final precious metal. So it ticked a lot of boxes for me. And, yeah, it's a pleasure. I have so much fun showing people when they come in the store. And if it's a sunny day, the first thing I do, I take them outside. And most people are just absolutely blown away when you see it in the sunlight.
Yep, it is. It's, as you said, it's more reflective in pure sunlight than any kind of artificial light, and the reflectiveness from so many different angles and altitudes, because of its crystalline form, you can actually, from my understanding, like a 1 carat high cost diamond can be visible up to 10 meters, to where 1 carat of crystallized osmium can be visualized right up to 25 meters. That's how much more noticeable it is, or how much more bling there is to crystallized osmium in its jewelry format, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Space Mine says there's no refraction, only reflection.
Exactly.
So it probably would make the best heat shields as well for spacecraft, but it's never going to get used for that. Oh, Maria, how much is an ounce? So a troy ounce is about $50,000. So that's around $1,600 a gram. So it's about 20 times, actually less than 20 with the rise in gold. Yeah, so about 18, 19 times more expensive in gold by weight, although that can be deceptive because unlike a gold coin, it's a lot thinner. So that's
about how much is that in your hand right now?
A 3/4 inch disc. So these start around the 3,000.
So that's an ounce of gold.
It's not far off now, is it? Yeah, yeah. So although that factor sounds high, I don't even know what the some JM came up, didn't he? He said in the Earth's crust, it's presumed to be 1,500 times more scarce than gold.
Yes.
So, but we are only going to have 1/60th of a cubic meter. So we're probably, you can add 2 zeros to that. So instead of 1.5, it'd be 150,000. It's at least 150,000 times rarer than gold in the crystalline form. Now there you're talking about the raw.
Yes, the raw ore.
Yeah.
Not the.
So what they found, I mean, literally, the Osmium Institute became the experts in raw osmium because they scoured the world and are frequently approached by people portraying to have ethically mined osmium for sale. And what they found was that there was a lot of trades have been done with the same metal just being sold and resold, and that had been presumed to be more stock on the open market than was actually available.
because they just kept selling it the same piece
It
over and
was sold and resold, but it was counted as, it was added up as total osmium available, but it was the same osmium.
Well, that's good and bad. It's bad that there's not that much, but there's also good that there's not that much.
It is, and some people are uncomfortable that it's a natural monopoly. I mean, Rolf took 40 years to develop the crystallization process, and then he actually had to improve it to make it even more uniform. So the Swiss watchmakers, who have been flagships actually in the luxury end, would start using it. And there are some watches now that are approaching $500,000 that have been made with osmium. So that they're getting way up there. And these are contemporary. This is not like this is because it's a a really old watch. There's only one left, or these are contemporary watches.
I think Space Miner's got another fact here.
That sounds like a dangerous mix.
I've worked with two of those chemicals or gases, hydrogen and argon.
Yeah.
Chlorine never worked with.
Yeah, as I was saying, a lot of people said to me, "Oh, well, somebody else could start making it." And yes, theoretically, but we do know it's a very finite material. We do know the amount that is proven to have been ethically produced is even more finite, because there's a lot that's been going round and round and round that, and that has no provenance. So the Osmium Institute will not use that product. There's also a lot out there that is actually very contaminated with ruthenium and other elements that are close by in the periodic table. And this natural monopoly, and then you could think, well, surely somebody could crystallize something else. Well, Rolf actually went through the whole periodic table and ruled out everything, and osmium was the only element that would crystallize in this beautiful form.
Another reason why it makes beautiful jewelry, and everyone should buy some and create their own piece of magnificent jewelry.
Everyone can't buy some.
That's why they need to get in early.
and this is why when people say, "Oh, it's not for me," or I won't stack that, well, most people will never actually get the opportunity to. So that's not really not a problem for the Osmium Institute.
Okay, now Space Miner's just showing off.
Yeah, he better not show too much, as the Swiss scientists might come and get him.
Ah!
The Swiss mafia might come and get him. I started asking Ingo questions, and he looked at me like, "Don't ask anymore." And I thought, okay. It's like, and he's confident that nobody else will be able to replicate it because they didn't patent it. And the main reason was, if you patent a process, you have to describe the process.
Exactly. You have to, yeah, exactly.
And then somebody possibly could start to replicate it. But I think they are so far ahead with the World Osmium Database, exclusive brands using it, and there is no one even close to the quality they've got.
Well, they do. I personally could care less about the monopoly. It's this, from my vision, this is such a new aspect or use case, and it's not a critical use case. I don't see where it's trivial, shall I say, that it's a monopoly. The guy earned it. It's not regulated. It's not sought out or by any government for specific taxation. Everything right now is under the radar as far as regulation goes with this because of the newness of it. Another good reason to get in early.
And there's no bourse, there's no commodity market. It's not traded.
Exactly.
So there's no I mean, you could say there is manipulation because it's a monopoly. The Osmium Institute, through the Osmium World, oh my gosh, what they call them, World Osmium Council, sets the price. So they've worked it out using several variables: the dollar-euro exchange rate, the Swiss franc euro exchange rate, German inflation, and also they're balancing out with demand. So they're trying to, well, actually they are balancing. So as the demand increases, the price goes up.
And that's an actual taught process of business in business schools. Price, supply, demand curve.
Supply, demand. Supply and demand.
It actually works.
I wish I'd known about it in 2017. It was under $600 a gram. And now we're over $1,600 a gram. So it's been doing, I think that works out about 15% a year. And
it does.
I think that's going to increase. I think it's been suggested by the Osmium Institute will be around $2,500 a gram by the end of 2026. It does sound scary, but I think somebody mentioned first the smallest pieces still come in when they're available around $30. You can get these. I've bought lots of these rectangles, so they're sold as uppercase I's, but I just think these could be very versatile in lots of jewelry designs.
As Gerald states right here.
So, yeah, some people have got some ideas of using the number 8. Let me see if I can hold this out of the case. So you get plenty. I'm not really getting much reflection on that, am I? Like that. Probably got it the wrong way around. I have.
Need one of those sticks that Long Live Coin and Space Miner has.
I've probably got that piece the wrong way round. There we go. Yeah, one of those sticky sticks.
Oh, so yeah, that's the right side.
You actually get, it's hard to describe the number, but you've probably got 50 or 60 sparkle points as you turn that in the light. So it's the equivalent of, dozens of diamonds. Yeah, you haven't got to set each one to get the same effect. So it's
and like Gerald says, your imagination for design is the only thing to stop the creativity of the piece you make.
And it looks like a major jewelry brand is going to start using it. That will give it publicity like it's never had before.
Oh my God, we need to hurry up and get some.
Yeah. I mean, we're going as fast as we can, making pendants and earrings. Here's a basic.
Well, I hate to sound like a boss, but go faster.
I do have to run the silver and gold side of things as well.
Oh, okay.
There's a 7mm square.
Nice.
So that
hanging
makes
earring,
pendant.
Pendant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It could be an earring, but that's a pendant. So my goldsmith has put this. I know you can see he's made a little gold frame to support the edge.
There's so much that can be done with that piece, even.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty cool about it. A lot of people just say, "Oh, it's not for them," or they don't like the natural monopoly, and that's absolutely fine. It's still all going to sell out.
Yeah,
very easily.
Yeah, that's the great thing about this in particular market is the small market cap of it, and the newness of it, and the number of people on the planet.
It makes Bitcoin look very common, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I doubt anyone's going to lose any of this stuff, because if it's in jewelry form, that stuff gets passed down.
That's another key feature. Once Rolf has done the 160 steps after purifying it to between 9 nines and 11 nines pure, so that's 99.99999999999 pure, and I think that's almost on a atom by atom level, because if you don't get that purity, any impurities will cause uneven crystallization.
Well, with the heat that they have to go through, you would only imagine that the purity of the product would be there. The hotter you go, the more of the inert elements get burned off or
Well, you
away.
have to have it pure before they boil it.
Well, at that point in time, once they boil it, it's all gone.
It's a complicated process, and then the offcuts, they have to be ground into a powder, cleaned again, and then they get put back through to make the into the system. So nothing actually gets wasted of the osmium. So what will happen as the stocks of the standard pieces run out, and I'm expecting that 2026, 2027, it will get harder and harder. People who've bought the bigger discs will be able to send them back to the Osmium Institute and get them cut into any sizes they want. And so there's a lot of wealthy European families have bought a lot of the bigger discs, and some of those will then go back to the Institute and get cut, so more pieces will be available.
And that'll be on the secondary market.
That will be, well, sort of primary, secondary, yes, from already crystallized osmium being cut into smaller pieces, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to stop everyone from buying this until I get all of it.
It is interesting. I mean, I knew a bit about jewelry. My brother-in-law was a jeweler. I fitted out some of his workshops and some of his stores long time ago. It is a fascinating business. The markups on a lot of products are 200%, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700%. So I think with the right selection of the right size pieces, not only is there potential good upside in just the physical price of the crystalline osmium, if you then make it into a piece of jewelry, you could double up on that yet again. So a 5-fold increase could become a 10-fold or 15-fold increase if you turn it into a piece of jewelry.
And then after it gets 2026, when they stop making it, it also at that point in time will you might as well just throw another zero on everything that's already out there.
Potentially, I think, because it will become a niche, it will be for wealthy people who've got a jewelry collection to have a osmium piece. There won't be enough for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, a rectangle this size, I think you're probably looking about maybe 60,000 of these that could be made. It sounds a lot, or that watch face, maybe 50,000 watch faces. So if you picked any one use, it's a finite number. I was convinced that the American market could easily swallow 23 tons of that. But now the whole world market is 350 kilos, so one third of a ton, 1/60th of what I thought originally was going to be available.
Well, here's a statistic that should eat up almost every bit of this crystallized osmium if it gets out there.
And just the JM's comment that he likes a natural monopoly. So yes, the production's a natural monopoly. I don't think anybody has got the time that it took Rolf to do it, or the resources, or the actual incentive, because you'd be a minnow competing against the huge side of the Osmium Institute, and also the Osmium Institute has a natural monopoly because Ingo saw the potential and sold, I think, most, if not all, of his businesses at that time to pursue this.
That little statistic I put up, just just in America, there's not enough crystallized osmium for each millionaire to buy a piece.
Oh wow! So you got 22 millionaires
in America.
Wow! So only half of them could buy a 2 millimeter squad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Jump on it, man. Don't leave me in the dust, man.
That starts to put it into perspective, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And then you start talking about these other countries. No. Don't go to other countries.
If you could only make 44,000 watches, what?
Well, there's 22 million.
22 million millionaires. Wow.
So that's about 2%.
Yeah. So what will I mean, I'm predicting, and this will happen. Somebody famous, whether it's a pop star or a rapper or an influencer, will buy this and start talking about it and raving, and then it will be sold out. That's it. Game over. So old Gerald says there's 21 million bitcoins.
I didn't want to highlight
that. Oh my
that.
gosh. That's not rare, is it? And 4 million lost that Neil will recover.
I'm finding a way. We had a discussion about how to recover lost Bitcoin.
How to find them.
Yeah. Because my thought process is signals never die. You just need to go far enough out to recapture them. And if it's a lost signal here on this planet, just like in the 80s or 90s, I heard a live broadcast of Hitler from 1943 because the Voyager had gone out past the radio broadcast, so it recaptured that radio broadcast. So
okay.
The faster we go, the signals are always continuous going outward from wherever they are. Whether the destination was lost on them is irrelevant to the fact that the signal's out there. You just need to go far enough, fast enough out there to recapture that signal, which theoretically means you can recapture the Bitcoin.
Okay.
And that was the discussion we were having about that highlighted comment.
So, have we got any questions?
That's what I'm looking for.
Any questions now?
This was supposed to be just a tutorial to let everyone know about it. So if any questions of anything that you have brought up could be asked, it would be muchly appreciated.
I probably missed out quite a few. I mean, there is a great... Ingo wrote this book. Oh, there we go. Interesting. So the sunshine element, that was the nickname it got in America. And Ingo is convinced that sun lives in America. So
well, I live here.
So yeah, there's a lot more facts in here. Its hardness is approaching that of diamonds.
Isn't it like a 9.5 on hardness?
7 on the MOHS scale? Is it?
Okay, I thought it was like 9.5.
I think diamonds are 10,
yeah.
9 to 10. Osmium is 7, but it's interestingly, and this must be because of its crystalline structure, it's more abrasive than diamond. So if you took that and ground that across a diamond sharpening stone, this would remove the tips of the diamonds.
That's what I try and sell people on. The rarity of this crystallized osmium made
it would make the ultimate nail file, wouldn't it? I mean,
oh my God, it would be the most expensive nail file. Not one you'd give to your wife to use if she goes on vacation and to leave.
Yeah, I mean, there are people out there who would probably happily spend $20,000 or whatever it would cost to make a 4.5 inch long. So theoretically, you can make a 4.5 inch long nail file.
Yeah, but that means even less people can buy osmium because it'll all get eaten up. I need to hurry up and start buying more.
Yeah, it's always a dilemma when we're personally increasing what we hold, whether we hold more silver or more osmium. I personally think silver is the best opportunity in 6,000 years. But I think the crystalline osmium could be just a little bit better. So.
Until I found out about crystallized osmium, I would agree with that statement. But right now, what I see this crystallized osmium being silver at warp speed, as far as the squeeze, the end game, and everything.
Yes.
That will play out in silver one day will play out in crystallized osmium within 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's
it will happen very rapidly.
Yes.
When there is a boom in awareness, I think that will simultaneously end with result in a boom in demand in the Big Bang.
That's the thing. As awareness becomes more out there, there's less to buy. So the more people who find out about it, the less opportunity they're going to have to buy it. And the more time you have to, I like to say you get it or you don't get it. Because if you have to be talked into it, there's a good chance you're not going to get any.
No. Space Miner's coming up with all the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, undetectable by metal detector. Ooh.
Yeah, it's like better than carrying cash.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it would make the ultimate way of doing high value trusted transactions. Yeah.
It got 21 ounce discs.
Yeah.
You could fit that. That would fit in your hand.
Well, theoretically, you could fit the whole supply.
Yeah.
If you could pick up 350 kilos, some people can, can't they? I'm sure some weightlifters could pick up a third of a ton.
Get some Norse weightlifters to follow you around. So does anyone have any questions for Ian about crystallized osmium that he hasn't already touched on? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I'm actually devoid of any questions because I'm well versed in it, and I'm not seeing it from a beginner's point of view. So I don't know how to ask the questions because I already know all the answers.
So some technical physical aspects. It's pretty easy for goldsmiths to work with.
There we go.
So let me give you an example here. We just had this made. So this is a heart in 14 karat gold.
Nice.
So you can see that's been set in a very delicate gold frame with a gold back. So it's any jeweler who's got good skills can work with it. There's nothing to be scared of. It's very durable. It can even be laser welded.
Yeah, it can handle heat up to 400 degrees.
500 is its maximum. 400 is the recommended, just to give a margin of error. Yeah.
So you could easily solder gold to it and not have an issue.
I'm not sure about that actually.
If you drip solder.
Okay. I've not seen that. The only way I've seen it, I did see a ring made where a disc was laser welded to the platinum.
Oh, nice.
So the osmium was just literally floating between ring design.
Oh, that would be beautiful, especially if you had a double-sided piece.
So Space Miner saying osmium to gold. So I think we're around 19 of 19 at the moment. If anybody's got a calculator, I haven't got mine with me, they can do the math because we are $2,579 for an ounce of gold.
I think it's 19.
It's around 19, isn't it? With that rise we had on Thursday and Friday. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, Gerald says about the carat. So a carat is 1/5 of a gram. So I think they will be switching to pricing it in carats instead of grams.
And reevaluating the sparkle grade. And
yeah, because apparently carat is actually weight. There's nothing to do with volume. And it's just traditionally how precious stones have been sold.
Right on.
Oh, interesting fact. So a few people have asked me, do you think it will replace diamond? And my initial response was, yeah, of course it will. It's, it's so superior in so many ways. And then I thought, you know what? Well, it can't. There's just not enough of it.
Well, that's why it will.
Yeah. Well, it can't replace diamond because there's just not enough of it.
And I say that's why it will, because people will find out how many more diamonds there actually are out there, because diamonds are also a monopoly, but it's in the reverse. It's in the reverse of what Mr. Wolf has. It's a 180-degree difference. Once people find out the facts, I think crystallized osmium will make the ultimate wedding ring.
It will be the ultimate, but it will never replace diamonds because there'll only be enough to make, I don't know, if it all went into making rings with just a fairly small amount of osmium, you'd only make a few 100,000 rings.
So only the rich people could afford those
Exactly.
rings.
Yeah.
So if you buy crystallized osmium from Ian at Arc Silver and Gold and Osmium right now and have a piece made, you in a short period of time will be getting a knock on your door from a rich person to buy that ring at one heck of a good profit margin. So buy yourself some crystallized osmium from Ian today, and don't sell it later. Keep it and give it to your kids and allow them to get the generational wealth out of it. It's a wealth transfer that you can be a part of, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I did a very rough calculation, and I came up with a figure about 60,000 times rarer than diamond. Obviously, we've got the complication now. Diamonds are obviously made from carbon, which is the 5th most common element on the planet.
Yeah.
And the costs have dropped down to as little as $9, $10 a quarter carat now.
Yeah.
So there's virtually no limit now to the supply of diamonds.
Yep. That is 100%.
That ratio is going to just get blown out. It will soon be hundreds of thousands of times rarer than diamond.
And just wait till people go down to Nambia and take a walk on the beach and pick up some sand and have 10 diamonds in their hand.
Oh, we were correct on that estimate. Space Miner's
Yep.
done the calculation, 19 to 1.
Yeah, Long Live Coins did as well. I want to give him some credit there.
Thank you, Long Live. Yeah, I mean, I've heard. In fact, I've been approached by people selling me these colored diamonds, investment grade diamonds. It's
I've seen purple, yellow, and red.
All I've heard in the industry is that diamond dealers' inventory is worth less each year. It depreciates. So maybe there is a niche still for some very rare ones. Yeah, possibly. But still, there's going to be way more of them than there will be of the crystalline osmium.
So anyone else have any questions? Any other questions? How about, well, no, I have no personal questions. I thought of one, but it's not really a good one.
But definitely buy your silver first. I always recommend people should have a reasonable stack of silver before they even consider osmium.
Well, you should also buy silver, platinum, crystallized osmium because it's a good thing to do. That's why I say it all the time. It's always a good thing to have a lot of silver, a lot of platinum, and a lot of crystallized osmium.
Space Miner Ingo is the king of vapor crystallized osmium. It was I remember we had a meeting early this year when it was announced that they would only be producing 350 kilos, and a lot of the reps around the world just started freaking out, thinking that all of the work they put into building a business would just evaporate. And it's far from that. It will just, for the people who are involved in selling it, the business will just gradually move up the food chain. You know, when the smallest piece is now 200, that's still an entry point for some people. You know, when it's 300, maybe, 10 times, that's still an entry point for the smallest pieces. But eventually it will just be moving up the food chain to the people who are happy to drop 5, 10, 20,000, 50,000, whatever, because they want to have a piece. So the business will develop in a different way that people thought, but there'll still be a good business there. And anybody involved in selling, you'll have your own connections and lists of people you've sold to. So if you get a request, somebody wants to purchase, and basically they give a, do you know what, I don't care what it is, I just want a piece. You'll be able to contact all of the people you sold to and say, look,
You want to sell?
do you want to sell this for 10 times what you bought it for, or 20 times what you bought it for? Or so it will be a different market. But what it will also do for the people who get involved in it, it will help you build out a whole different business. You know, there are plenty of other rare things, nothing as rare as the osmium, but there's plenty of others, rare gemstones. And I mean, Neil, you're hopefully going to have some very rare lightning crystallized substances. So
Oh yeah,
we might be buying the rare lightning products from Neil. So you know, it's not just, oh, when the osmium's gone, there's nothing left to sell. I think your people who get involved now, you know, already people who've never even thought of designing jewelry or designing pieces and getting ideas, you know, and getting them made. So it you know, it's multi-layered that way.
What I call the secondary market is when they quit making the crystallized osmium. And that's why I honestly see a zero going on every piece at that point in time, because at that point in time, the amount of awareness will still be
that. Yeah,
it'll be growing. And because what I'm seeing is like a ball rolling downhill, and about 10 meters down the hill is when they stop making it. But that's when the ball starts gaining momentum. And that means the price action, because of supply and demand, well, there is no supply other than what's already out there. And demand is increasing, and I see greater numbers than what you laid out as far as, because I mean, okay, there's 22 million millionaires in America. Right. We only have 320 million people in this country. If you look at India, they got 1.4 billion. How many millionaires do you think they have? Probably like 80 millionaires, 80 million.
Could be. Yeah.
4 times as much as us. I mean, and we only have enough for 2%. So as this ball is rolling downhill, more people who have money.
Sure.
So all it's doing is you're knocking off the lower echelon affordability people once this stuff stops getting made. So that's why everyone needs to get in now and get as much as you can. Well, just to get a piece to hold on to it and to think about what piece you want to make and see how the market moves. Look at what's already charted in this market. See how the price action has consistently gone up. So it's just, as I say, those people that just get it are going to get well compensated. Those people that have to be explained to. Yeah, every day you miss out is a day you missed out. And soon there's going to be no more days, and you'll have just missed out. And that's when you add the zero to the price, because that's a secondary market. And then you introduce it to the Indian market and say, hey, we got this, but it's not for sale anymore. But make us an offer. And
that's the market that will develop for sure.
Yeah, and that's where the money comes in from this stuff. And if you're in before its completion date of 2026, you're going to be very happy.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because we're a year and 4 months, year and 3 months away from that date. No one's sure how it will pan out. I mean, because in the first 10 years, they've sold around 30 kilos, but the awareness is expanding.
It's the ball going downhill. It's moving faster and getting bigger.
Yeah.
And like I said,
I mean, already some sizes are hard to get. They're on sort of back order. The 3 millimeter diameter, what they actually call them diamonds. They're hard to get because we've been using a lot making the pairs of dice and a domino set. And the Osmium Institute build a domino set so that each domino set uses 168 of the 3 millimeter diamonds.
Wow.
I need to do the calculation how many domino sets it would make, but it's not that many.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, you just look at the numbers, 22 million millionaires just in America. They wanted a domino set. It's sold out. I mean, there's so many variables for this stuff to be sold out fast.
Sure. Yeah.
So you need to get some now. Speaking of which, I'm going to put another push in for you stocking up on those 2mm squares for me?
I need to put another request in. I did request some. Something happened. They didn't get made, so I will give them a call tomorrow morning.
Let them know the trigger's been pulled and the bullet's coming out of the barrel. And the only thing going to stop me is not having anything. So I want to sell them out, but I got to have the stuff to sell them out. A personal request. Don't sell anyone else. Just sell it all to me in 2mm squares. What's up, Anti?
2 stamps of cats.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Anti's always doing something funny. But anyhow, that's seems to be Osmium 101.
I'm sure we missed plenty.
Well, it's not like you're never going to be on my show again. I just wanted a show where a good 45 minutes of it was nothing but osmium, and we got that. And now we're into the after Osmium 101. So if anyone else wants to come up on stage and we have a discussion with Ian about anything, it's pinned to the top. Anyone can come up who wants to. I believe we have an hour, a good 55 minutes of nothing but Osmium 101, and I appreciate very much your time, Ian. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I'm surprised it took that long. I should have.
I'm glad. And that's why I
write a list. I think I've covered most of the.
I can refine that list for you, but we'll talk later.
Space Miner filled in a lot of the technical stuff.
Yeah, we need to do actually a better like you, me, Long Live Coins, Gerald, all get together and do a formatted show of all of our aspects to where we'd have a very, very fulfilling show on Osmium with those perspectives. And I don't think anyone would be able to improve on it because the knowledge of all those people I just mentioned, yourself, myself, Gerald, Space Miner, Long Live Coins, and several others, is off the hook. Like you said, Space Miner was throwing out things I didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems to be the secret scientist, isn't he?
And here's one thing about, I'm Neil. I'm always going to do this. I'm going to find a way to do this and bring it back to space. And along with every asteroid out there has platinum, that means it's got osmium. So if we can ever get to a place in history where we can be mining asteroids, which I think will be the first thing we do after we leave this planet, as far as for needs of minerals and stuff like that, the possibility to get a lot of osmium along with platinum.
Yeah, but Rolf won't be crystallizing it, though.
That's the problem. And that's where that right there shuts the door on further use cases of it in the crystallized form, which adds to the necessity where you've got, what did you say, 1 year and 3 months. After that, it's all gone.
It could be sold out. Yeah.
So
I mean, if I could raise the capital, I would buy it all for sure.
Oh man, I'm hoping. I've actually confirmed the date. My friend's got a Renaissance fair going on the beginning part of November on the land in Alabama, so I'll be going down there at the end of November and building that device. And that's actually a good lightning strike time. And he'll be able to keep an eye on it for me. And everything goes from there. You might have a couple pieces going into your storefront.
Wow, that would be interesting.
Yeah, because if his first one's successful, I'll fly back down there and have him rent me a car and drive up and drop him off and then fly back down here. Because there's no way I'm going to transport anything my first one's anything other than I'm taking it.
You have to set it in plaster of Paris, like I said, like they move the ancient relics and fossils.
If you know how to get that stuff out of there, because I'll do it that way, because then I could fly it.
Yeah,
It'd be no problem flying.
get one made first. That's the first step.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then there's other issues beyond that, but selling them is definitely going to be an issue.
So that's the gold JM's just got up there, the gold Osmium domino. So we are currently making the world's first silver set.
Nice.
I'm trying to think I think the total ounces, it was just under 100 ounces of silver for the 28 dominoes. So I think they're coming out 3.5 ounces each.
It'll be interesting to see how that shows up, because I think there's really nice contrast with the gold and the osmium. I think it'll be interesting to see how the silver contrasts with it.
Yeah, most people, there's a slight majority prefer osmium with white gold or platinum or silver.
Platinum. Yeah. I think it would go real good.
It does depend on the light. It does depend on all of our eyesight is slightly different. We see the colors slightly differently. Some people do say the blues and the other colors shot better with gold. But obviously silver's a lot more affordable at the moment.
So is platinum.
It is. Although, interestingly, platinum jewelry is more expensive, isn't it? They tend to charge more.
Isn't that funny? So I guess the biggest profit margin would be to make something in platinum and add crystallized osmium to it.
It's a lot harder to work with, depending on what you're making, the platinum, I think. Much higher soldering temperature, isn't it? Much higher than gold. So that's possibly. Yes, it is. But you wouldn't have thought when it's, I mean, mind you, we're over $1,000 now, aren't we? Did we close 1,003, I think, on Friday?
Yeah, it was real close. It depends on what scale you're looking at, or what, Kitco or whatever other one you're looking at. They vary in price, but it's very close to 1,000.
Oh, Gerald's got a good idea. Rhodium plating silver. Ooh.
That would give it a nice sheen.
Wow. I would never have considered that.
No, I guess, yeah. Because don't they rhodium plate platinum sometimes?
Say that again?
I thought jewelers sometimes rhodium plate platinum.
Yes. Yeah. It's just a simple process of sticking a positive and negative charge inside a rhodium liquid. And then you drop the piece in it for a little bit of time and pull the piece out, and the electrical charge from the positive and negative goes through the metal, adhering the outer sheen of the rhodium. I've seen the process. It's cool.
I have a quick question for you, Ian.
Yes, John.
Do you have any of the osmium numbers, number 8?
I have a whole set on loan. I haven't got any 8s in stock, but I can order some.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of maybe chatting after Neil shuts this down, but just I don't want to keep you going late. I know you're a busy guy, but I was going to say, if you had any, put a couple aside for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to order a couple.
Yeah, I really like the number 8, and I was on Neil too, the number 0.
Yes.
I can see a number of different applications for those.
Sure.
And I know they don't come too small. Like, I think the minimum price on the 8 was around 150 or 200.
Yeah, it does vary. They tend to cut the letters out of the lower sparkle grades, but there can be a variation in thickness even in the same sparkle grade. Well, that's what we didn't mention, did we? The sparkle grade.
No, that you're correct.
So the longer they run the crystallization, Rolf runs the crystallization process, the thicker the piece becomes and the bigger the crystals grow. Hence, when you get to this, I mean, that's a sparkle 5, that piece. It's pretty thick. You can see edge
Oh, yeah.
on. Whereas you find a finer piece, I think this looks like I think this disc is, we can compare.
Oh, yeah, it's a Sparkle 3 or
2, maybe 2.
2, yeah. This
And
is,
you can see the
oh,
thickness.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's a Sparkle 2. You can tell
Yeah.
by the thickness.
Yeah. So that dramatically affects the price per surface area. So it's important, if you're making a piece of jewelry, to pick the sparkle that actually suits the piece you're making. I mean, for a lot of goldsmiths, they're using the finer, and they'll use that to offset some beautiful colored stones or some incredibly beautifully cut diamonds. So they'll use this as more of a background. Whereas if you want something really strong, in fact, it's actually interesting in this light, the color differences. I don't know, that shows you're seeing a lot more blues on the thicker sparkle.
Yeah. You got more of the natural hue of the osmium on the thicker piece. And that's just the natural metal. It's got that color to it.
So yeah, that we did miss out about the sparkle grade. So they've divided it 1 to 5. Obviously, you're going to get a range across each sparkle, but the letters, I mean, there is the uppercase I. They tend to be cut from a sparkle 1 typically.
Yeah.
The reason they do that, they don't want to be cutting through every crystal peak. You want to be,
Yeah.
That's why they choose the finer for the finer detail cuts. They will also cut a custom shapes to order. They will give a quotation. We actually did have a beautiful fish. I should have brought a picture of it. We had a 1-inch long fish cut for the grandson of a client of ours, and it was a fish, particular type of fish he caught out in the Amazon somewhere, out in the wilds. So for his graduation, his grandma got him a osmium fish cut of the same profile. That was pretty spectacular, actually. There will probably only ever be one of those.
Yep. Yeah, I was wondering where you went, JM. He fell out on us. Yeah, that's what I like about the jewelry making part of this is the uniqueness of everything. Your imagination is the only thing that limits your creativity, and that goes with crystallized osmium and any piece you want to create. It's only limited by your imagination.
Oh, Space Mire's got another great point there about the constellations.
Yeah.
It is very, very much like, I mean, we live in rural Idaho, and on a clear night, the sky looks a bit like that. It's like literally
every quarter inch is a star. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it was like that around here. I see about 8 stars in the sky.
Yeah.
I live in a heavily light polluted area.
So Gerald wants to cut out a Bitcoin B.
You know, all you gotta do is you're talking to Ian. He's the man. Make the order. It happens. I need once I get further along, I'm gonna need letters cut out that are rounded at the edge instead of squared.
Oh, so you can fit them in a CNC machined process?
Yep. So I'll have to special order those once the times, I'll probably be buying cubes or squares or circles before then, just to have them. So if they don't have any time or stuff to do it, I'll have pieces that they can cut for me. I guarantee I'll have it. Yeah. Nice little what do you call those? Disco balls.
That would be an expensive disco ball, wouldn't it?
You got to think outside the box. I would invert the crystallized osmium, face it all inward, and have a small ball, but I'd have them sectionally apart to where
Right.
180 from 180, they're not going to be two facing each other, and I'd have them like a 3-degree angle, and I'd have the light on the inside, and have those spinning on about a 5-inch, probably 6-sectional domed, to where you're not really using that much crystallized osmium as a full domed ball. You like using a third.
I think Space Miner had been experimenting with a laser, I think.
Get back up here, JM.
Yeah, come on, Space Miner.
Yeah, get up here. These are guys that are scared to show their faces. See? I show my face. I'm a fish.
Actually, those colors there, those are the actual some of the key colors in the osmium in sunlight.
Yeah, they are actually.
All those blues and purples.
Yep. That's one reason why I like this fish. Actually, every now and then I catch glints of the green as well.
Oh, here we go. Space Miner says, red lasers go everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking for his laser. I think we're going to get a laser show from Space Miner.
Hey, we'll get LLC to throw on the music, and boom, we'll have a nationwide rave going on YouTube.
There is a pair of they did make a pair of high-end headphones with had osmium discs on each one. They were pretty exclusive headphones.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, we don't need this to grow too fast. I have too many pieces I need to buy.
I know, it's sort of frustrating, isn't it?
It is what it is, and yes, very frustrating.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, I got into it knowing where it was going, knowing I wouldn't be able to do what I want to do, but I'd be able to do something that's better than nothing.
I think he's still looking for his laser. Ooh, in a fishing pole.
Yeah,
Nice.
He was talking to me about that.
Probably would make quite an interesting fishing lure, wouldn't it, as well? The little 2mm.
I think he's actually talking to someone about that as well. If he
Yeah.
would get up here with
for
JM.
bait. Yeah, for bait decoration. Wow. You don't want to lose that.
Yeah, no doubt. It better be a 20-pound bass. Well, I guess you could always dig it out. All right. Let's see. Does anyone else want to come up on the panel? That would be interesting. I don't know how that would work. It would definitely affect the sound. All right, well, I am going to end the show. I need you to hang out for a little bit, please, sir, Mr. Ian, sir. I'm going to make a call out to JM to hop back in. I'm going to not end the stream. We'll be backstage for about 5 minutes, JM, if you're still around, or Space Miner, Long Live Coins, or Gerald, or anyone who wants to join in. About 5 minutes, and then we'll leave backstage. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Everand?
I can't think of anything.
I think we did a pretty good job. It is the first one, so yeah, we'll get better. I will definitely get better at interviewing and having it set up, but I do appreciate your time. And for everyone else, we're going to go backstage now and end the live stream. Thank you for coming. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. Buy some crystallized osmium, some silver, and some platinum. And be kind, helpful, and grateful, because it's better than being a jerk. I will talk to everybody later. And I